I've been working on several projects in parallel for more than a decade now. It was messy, to say the least, in the beginning. Having just one notebook didn't do the trick, as having information about completely independent projects inside one book makes searchability impossible. Thanks to my handwriting and scribbles, I was able to have a slight idea where to find information I'd collected earlier. To improve things, I came up with the idea of the single source of truth. In simple terms, I wanted to know exactly place, the single source I needed to look up to find the correct information I need. Hence, I started to carry around several paper notebooks, trying to split information as efficiently as possible. Later on, it was folders in my handwriting note-taking app on my iPad. Besides reducing weight, I now had the advantage that my handwriting became searchable. What a boost in efficiency this was. Now you see why I think the remarkable is just removing the weight of carrying around paper notebooks. However, it does not have the advantage of giving me easy access to my information via search, nor can I quickly open my relevant notes and switch through the pages as I would do using a paper notebook. Now I've stopped using handwriting apps completely and switched to typing text into my chosen PKM tools. The reason is that I'm a lot faster at typing than handwriting. The problem is the walls of text that take away the recognizable patterns to easily identify information later on. Here is where visual notes and databases come into play. Visual notes transform text-heavy notes into diagrams, flowcharts, or mind maps for quicker comprehension and recall. In our ICOR methodology, we differentiate between deep thinking and shallow thinking. Hence, we split the information and keep things easy to access. Remember the single source of truth concept. So I'm using Heptabase to quickly capture any information that might be relevant in the future. This is the place where I store all the meeting notes, as it lets me easily connect the information to relevant content within my tool, like a person who is on the person database. The moment I have to think deeply about a problem or want to establish a more complex solution, I go to deep thinking, usually in Heptabase, as I have the power of whiteboards, where I can easily lay out my complex information. Sometimes I also use Miro if it's something that needs to be established in the team and if I have a lot of external content I want to add to the board. Don't build a second brain. We've seen many professionals building up a second brain by simply outsourcing their brain storage and filling it up with anything they want to store. However, this way, you're simply building up another place to search for information like you would do on the web, with the downside that the information might no longer be relevant. At the Paperless Movement, we say instead of that, we have optimized one brain with two parts, a physical and a digital part. The key is that the digital part is not seen as an external storage, but as a deeply integrated part of our overall brain functionality. Hence, we build our systems around workflows that work in the way our brains work. This leads to a point where our system runs on autopilot and everything is based on common sense. No matter the information or action that comes up, we know where to place it or to find it nearly instantly the moment we need it. The differentiation between shallow and deep thinking is key here, as it helps avoid cluttering up the deep thinking system with irrelevant temporary information. In the past, I was at the point where I stopped taking notes completely, as I knew I needed to look up the relevant information later anyway, and I was so slow trying to capture everything that I wasn't able to follow the meeting with all my attention. I found the sweet spot, which I call strategic note-taking, which is to focus on capturing decisions, actions needed, and key insights rather than transcribing everything. Deep thinking. In our deep thinking system, we treat notes as an extension of your thinking by actively summarizing questions and synthesizing information. And shallow thinking. In our shallow thinking system, we use notes to balance cognitive load by capturing key points, helping maintain focus on, for example, the meeting's discussion. If anything relevant comes up that makes sense to place in our deep thinking system, we can calmly move things over when we are back at our desktop. This way we improve the speed of taking notes when it's necessary, while reducing frustration about where to place the information in the best way possible. I know there are many things we have to urge to store somewhere. And inside video, article or post, this is where our third tool comes into play, the Read Later app. In our case, we are using Read vs. Read Later app. Leverage digital tools. Utilize digital note-taking tools that support tagging, linking, and layering of information for better organization and retrieval. I've explained this in much more detail in this video, so if you want to see what tools work best to take efficient notes, then I highly recommend watching this video next.